Hi everybody, welcome back to Deborah's Glad Tidings. Here it is after 12 midnight and I can't go to sleep. I got jet lag so bad I can't even go to sleep. It's well after 12 o'clock. I got chemo in the morning and I'm up jiving with you guys. So I just decided to just kick it. I'm just tired. I just spent a few days over in New York and New Jersey with Gigi from Gigi's Gluten Free Lab, and Gigi had me on the go. I took my bathing suit with me and my pool shoes, thinking I'm gonna get some time in that warm, heated pool and the jacuzzi. And Gigi kept me in the streets. She kept me in the streets between New Jersey and New York, and she kept me in these YouTube streets. And I don't know if y'all like me, but sometimes when I get caught up in something, a song will just drop in my spirit about what I'm doing or something like that. And so all of a sudden I was hanging out with Gigi, just running, ripping and running. Gigi had me running so bad I slept all day yesterday. I mean all day. I didn't think I got out of bed till like 9 o'clock that night when it was time to eat and go back to sleep. But Gigi had me going so much, all of a sudden I found myself singing, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. And then I kept trying to figure out, why is that song in my head? Did I pass by a radio store or something and heard it? I just remember that's how bad Gigi had me in those streets. And that happens to me sometimes. I remember I had a job at Chili's trying to make some little extra pocket change, little side time job. And I had this supervisor hating on me, right? And I was hired as a food prep person. And she was telling me they didn't need another food prep person. And she felt I had favor with the manager. So she decided she gonna make my life miserable. And I remember she was moving me everywhere but where I need to be. The only stop she didn't make was out there to the being a server. And I think I would have rather that her put me in the dish room. So she put me in the dish room, but I was determined I wasn't going to let her think she had me defeated. And I think some of the servers was her buddies, because every time they came back there while I was washing the dishes, they would throw the silverware that little extra harder into those little bowls with the buckets with the water, and the water would just splash up on me while I'm back there, and nobody act like they realized or noticed that's what they were doing. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, I was singing, "Were you there with me? Were you there when they crucified my Lord?" And the only reason I knew I was singing the song because it started getting good to me and I started getting louder and louder. But that's how I felt at that time. I just thought about how they were doing me. And so I just, that song dropped in my spirit, I guess, to help me to keep my peace. Anyways, what I just thought about, every so often I'll get in the mood to get a praise break. And so I was with one of my friends one time, and I broke out with a J Moss. There's a praise on the inside that I can't keep to myself. There's a holler stirring up from the depths of my soul. So excuse me if I seem a little giddy, even strange, because praise is the way I say thanks. And so I asked my friend, I said, hey, you know what? You think if I did a tape and J Moss saw that, he'll hire me as a background singer? She immediately said no. Didn't act like she had to think about it. Just said flat out no. So I said, well, Dad, do you think I'm good enough to at least sing in Auntie Them number 3 choir? But anyway, speaking of choirs, I used to sing with this choir, Avery Jones and the Spirit of Life. Thank God he felt I was good enough to at least sing in Auntie Them number 1 choir. And it's Avery Jones and the Spirit of Life ensemble. And that was back in one of them years way back there. But anyways, they rolling up on about the 39th singing anniversary. And I remember the year that I went to them, I was going through a lot as a young person, single mother, and I joined on with them, and they helped me grow spiritually. And so they have their anniversary. As a matter of fact, their anniversary is coming up this Sunday, the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, that this Sunday is the 24th, I believe, and they're going to have their 39th anniversary. And I know when I first moved to Georgia from Florida, the first few years I was here, I went back. He would send me the music in the mail, and I would practice it, and then during the summer, because I was a teacher, I was off, I would go back to Florida and stay the whole summer and rehearse, and then go back for the concert. And I had done it in a few years. So I was thinking about doing it this year. So earlier during this year, I called them and I said, when is the concert? Because I was thinking about doing that. But then, in the midst of the diagnosis and everything, didn't have the energy or whatever. So it's funny because last night I happened to be looking at their the video from their 38th anniversary. And when I looked at that video, it made me remember why I canceled from trying to sing with them this year. I was looking at his youngest daughter, and she was in the front line. And see, when we marched in for anniversary, we never marched in like the traditional choir, Auntie and them choir. We didn't march in like that. We had a march that was almost like you was doing the one of them line dance things or something. And I was looking at the video last night. I couldn't sleep. And I was looking at the video, and his young daughter was in the front of the line. And she had all this energy. You could just tell. And the choir wasn't even marching yet. She just leading the pack, right? Now, back then, when I had but good health, I was trying to work them steps out. It was like a little too much for me sometimes, because sometimes I don't feel like I could walk and chew gum at the same time. But she was just, you could just see the energy. And she had on this shiny red jacket, and every year we dress up some kind of theme with our uniforms. You never know how we were gonna come out. One year they had poodle skirts, that kind of stuff. Another year we was all pinstriped down. So we always had a uniform, not the traditional uniform. And she was standing there, and I was waiting to see what their uniform, because she had on this shiny red coat and everything, and she was standing. You could see it. She couldn't wait to get down the aisle. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, well, if that's what they did last year, and these been many years that we all done been around, I'm thinking, and here's the thing, I sing first soprano. Now, when he inducted me into the choir, just for hearing me talk, he thought I sung alto. But when I got up there, I was just what he needed, soprano, because that's always the section everybody run away from. But anyway, so most of the time in the concert, they would let the altos go first, and then the tenors, and then the sopranos, because that's how we were going to line up once we got up on the stage. But I was sitting there, I was saying, even at this point in my life, I was thinking about going this year to the concert with them. And when I saw that young girl in the front, and she was getting it, and she was ready to get down the aisle, all I did was catch a visual of me going with them this year, going down the aisle, and all of a sudden they had a traffic jam, and they had to stop. And everybody looked around to see why they stopped, and they had to stop because here go me bringing it up the rear in the scooter, So that wasn't gonna work out for me this year. Then I said I was trying to figure out how I could have worked that in my mind, and so I said I was gonna have to go to the Pastor Jones, the choir director, and say in my Trick Daddy voice, here's what a nigga gonna do, and then tell him, well, here's what you do. You got to put me at the end of the line. But see, I couldn't even probably keep up at the end of the line. So what they were going to have to do for me, I was brainstorming this thing. I was trying to work it out so I could be in this choir. And I was going to tell him what they were going to do. They were going to go down the aisle, march down the aisle, doing their thing. Then all of a sudden, the music was going to stop. The house lights was going to go down. The flood lights and flashing lights was going to come up. And next thing you was going to hear was, let's get ready to rumble. And everybody else was looking around like, what? Did we just suddenly turn into a wrestling match? And that's when they were going to see me bringing it up the rear on my scooter. And they were going to pimp my scooter, have some of that shiny red aluminum paper on my wheels and stuff to match that girl jacket, and some little Christmas red tassels hanging off the steering wheel, and I was going to just go on down the aisle, up the ramp. Then the thing is, normally, and one thing about Pastor Jones, you got to project when you sing, and he don't play that Milli Vanilli stuff. So I'm a lot of times would be in the front line, but this time I was going to insist to put me in the back line, and I was going to get behind the tallest person on the front line. And the reason for that was because I was going to have me a stool back there, so when I got tired and sat down, nobody would see it. And then I would stand up and every now and then do a Milli Vanilli. I was going to do it. I was going to try to make it. But I just thought about it, and I would have been bringing it up the rear. And you know what? And I looked, and then when they got up there on the stage, they didn't come out with something praise and worship kind of stuff. They just went in hard, just jumped out there. And he was going like he was a 5-year-old who mama had gave him some of that red juice. You know that red juice y'all get them children and wonder why they so hyper and can't sit down. And he was just going. And then I said to myself, it made me think about it. It made me think about take a time I was singing a song. See, you know what? The word of God is so true when it say you come captive by the words that come out of your mouth. You can speak life or death to a situation. And it made me, because when he started singing like that, they coming out like that with the choir with all that, and I couldn't hear what they were singing. So I wasn't even going to try to pretend I knew what they were singing, but it made me think about how we be singing these people's songs and we don't really know all the words. And then we sing the part we know and we hum through the part we don't know, or we'll add our own words. And I remember one time I messed around and bust out, had a praise break, and I bust out with one of, I think it's Morton's song, and I said, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, let it rain. And then it got to me again, and I said, open the floodgates. And then I forgot I was supposed to say heaven. I just said, let it rain, let it rain. All you gotta do is open the floodgates, let it rain. And just that quick, the devil snatched them words out my mouth, and I got flooded with bills ever since. So you got to learn them songs, the words of the song. See, I was singing open the floodgates and forgot I was supposed to say the floodgates of heaven, and it looked like the floodgates of hell opened up. Anyways, that's my time. I'm going to try to go to bed. I love y'all. I just figure I'd just have a little fun with you and just kick it. So good night from Deborah's Glad Tidings. Until we meet again, may His peace be with you. And always remember, I have a will to live.